uppercut, uppercut, sonic boom!
Well, hello there, humans, hippies, earthlings, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and if you're lucky enough indeed to be doing it too, welcome back to the channel. I'm Bushka, and today's video is about the Mini 14. We're going to talk about the base stats of the Mini, the important numbers that you need to know, the positives of the weapon, the negatives, and there are a few negatives, albeit very minor ones. We're going to talk about good weapons to partner the Mini 14 with as well, some loadout choices you might want to be making, possible balance changes that could be coming in the future for the Mini, my personal opinion, and then I'm going to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10 for close, mid, and long range combat. That's going to take about 10 minutes, so sit back, relax, have a cup of joe, put your listening ears on, and let's get kicking. The Mini 14 is the 5.56 AR, well, DMR king of PUBG Mobile. And it's a funny thing to me that the Mini 14 is now considered such a strong weapon. When I campaigned for years for the QBU on Sanhok, and it fell on deaf ears. Very few people enjoyed the QBU. But the Mini 14 has basically exactly the same stats as the QBU. In fact, when all the buffs happened for the Mini 14, and there have been many and numerous, they brought it nearly into line with the QBU. The QBU is still the highest damage 5.56 DMR in the game. But the Mini 14's base stats, 53.9 chest damage. That means that when you're hitting the chest that doesn't have any gear on it, 53.9. 105 base damage headshots. That's a big number for a gun that can effectively put this many rounds down range and do it at such an effective speed, 1,000 meters per second. Now, those are the most important numbers. But there is something that is a huge positive for the Mini 14 that I don't really hear talked about a lot. Everyone says it's got good recoil. The thing the Mini 14 actually has that's incredible is amazing recoil recovery. Recoil, vertical recoil, is the number when you go up, or the movement up. You can see there. Recoil recovery is how far down the reticle comes after you press the button. And the Mini 14's recoil recovery, as you can see there, as it drifts nearly completely back to the target, is insane. Watch this in slow motion as I fire, and then the reticle just drifts straight back to the target. That's nearly 100% in terms of recoil recovery. And that's a phenomenal number on a gun that doesn't have exceptionally high vertical recoil in the first place. And that allows you to be very, very good at firing the Mini 14 very, very fast. And it is a very nice blend. It doesn't have the highest damage in terms of base output of the DMRs. That would go to the Mark 14. The SLR has 57.9. The SKS has 57.7 base damage. But the Mini's only 4 points, well, 3.8 points lower than those guns. And yet, its recoil recovery and its bullet speed allows you to have incredible accuracy to the point where you can use the Mini 14 at times as an excellent switch weapon. This is one of the positives. We're in the positive section here, boys and girls. And you can stick it with a red dot or a 2X, and you can actually use it if you get the ranges right, particularly with the red dot, at like 30 meters. It's so incredibly brutal. One of my favorite things to do with the Mini is actually whack a 2X on it. It is my guilty pleasure to run the Mini and a 2X because it gives you just enough vision to kind of use it like you'd use an M416 to spray. I'll give you some examples of that here. And this is because your recoil recovery and your bullet speed is so quick that you can just sit the Mini on a level and it will rip everything in front of that level to shreds. These guys are 70 meters away. This is the kind of range that you generally use an AR with. But this hits so much harder. The Mini 14 is hitting so much harder that it just doesn't help. Look at this. I mean, that's more than, how far is that? Like 100 and something meters? It's 130 meters with a 2x and a suppressor. It's not exactly the best loadout, but the Mini's got the most ridiculous rate of fire when you tap it. And it can really handle the 2x. Like this is not, staged footage. These are guys and girls who just can't get away from the Mini. It's too freaking effective. One of the problems that people have when dealing with the Mini is it's so good as a third-party weapon. In fact, I think it's just about the best third-party weapon in the game because you can put accurate fire downrange with an 8x at extraordinary long ranges. And it hits so hard that often if people are involved in gunfights, just 1 or 2 shots from the Mini is enough to send them down, as opposed to like 3 or 4 shots from a sprayed 5.56 AR. And this is one of the things that the Mini does so well. When you're fighting people, and this can't be overstated because obviously the majority of the player base keeps trying to use 5.56 ARs as their long-range weapons. When you are fighting people who are spraying 5.56 ARs, the Mini is king. It is absolutely king. Because if you can hit your first shot, your first headshot that does 100 plus base damage, you're following it up with a 54 base damage chest shot. That is very, very hard to sustain pressure against. And in a game where, that is one of the hardest things to do, like just knock people out at range, the Mini 14 is a valuable asset. Its negatives. Well, it's not the best kind of gun in a peak fight. A peak fight is where you want to be using a bolt action rifle. But here's, even that negative is not this bad, that big a deal. It's very rare that you're in a situation where you have to peak someone. Generally, it's like these poor grubs here who are stuck outside the circle trying to rotate into Pachinki, and they're just in a horrific situation. And one of them, if they had like AWM, would happily peek me and try and get rid of me or knock me so that they could rotate in. And in that situation where you're forced to peek, that's where most weapons want to be a bolt action rifle that has just catastrophic single shot damage. But apart from that, the magazine size is only 20 rounds, but it's not hard to reload. It doesn't have a slow reload time. So they're minor differences, minor things. And they're not the kind of things that I think are enough to hold it back. I had an interesting situation yesterday where I had a DP28 and I had a 6X and an SKS was in front of me. And I weighed up the value of exchanging my full auto DP28, which was an excellent switch weapon and could still manage at range, with running an SKS, which is not a great switch weapon, but is better at range. And I just realized that the negative of running the SKS outweighed the positives that it brought to the table. And that's certainly not the case with the Mini 14. The positives of the Mini 14, this incredible lack of lead required, because 1,000 meters a second is an incredibly quick weapon. Like 1,000 meters a second means you have to lead the target by so much less than you do with, say, a DP28, which is down in the 60s. Means that it's just good for everything. Mini 14, excellent switch weapon. And what should you partner with? Well, I love running it with an AKM. That's my favorite thing. An AKM and a Mini 14 would probably be my 100% favorite loadout as world drops. If you can improve that to a Graza and a Mini 14, you're rocking even harder. Or you put a Mark 14 and a Mini 14 in there, you're starting to see some overlap, and maybe you drop the Mini for something else. But to be honest, I often run bolt actions because I love sniping, okay? But I have this kind of joke with the guys I run with where it's like, well, do I want to win or do I want to have fun? And that's where it comes to the Mini 14. If I was going to rebalance any gun in the game that is a world drop ranged weapon, it would probably be the Mini. It's the strongest ranged weapon in PUBG Mobile, I think, is a world drop. Not a crate weapon, it's a world drop. It's criminally underutilized. It is not nearly used by enough players. It's a game changer. In terms of CQC, out of 5 stars, I'd give it 2. Not great. Mid-range, I'd give it 3.5. Close to 4. Long range, it's 5 stars. It's amazing. So if you're looking at that as a total out of 15, which is completely arbitrary and obviously bears no resemblance to what the game would be doing, you're looking at, let's say, 8.5, 10.5 stars out of 15, which is pretty bloody good in a game where your second slot can offer you a lot of versatility. I'm Bushka. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. There'll be plenty more like it coming down the pipe. Look after yourselves. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel. And if you have any videos you'd like to see done, comment below and I'll see if I can get to them. Until next time, au revoir amigos. Stay safe on the battlefield and bye for